before his campus address.
If you're not conservative and you live here, these couple hours hopefully will be an oasis.
When Moore took the stage, he applauded the school and its student officers for the invitation.
I have seen students across this country. I've seen them in Berkeley. I've seen them in Madison. I've seen them in Ann Arbor. I've never seen students with the kind of guts that the students have here.
Moore said the First Amendment doesn't apply here in the state of Utah, especially if you're a liberal.
We're special in Utah. You see, we're so special, we don't have to believe in the Bill of Rights in Utah.
Moore said the real reason for his visit isn't to bash Republicans, but to get students excited about voting. But he did say John Kerry will win the election.
The words President Kerry are upsetting. Oh, 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 no, not President Kerry. Oh, my whole...
Well, if anything, students said no matter which way you lean politically, it was entertaining today. Roseanne Barr also made the trip to Utah with Michael Moore. The former Utahan spoke for about 15 minutes.
And as expected, the controversial arrival of Michael Moore came with some protests.
I've seen Fahrenheit 9/11. It's got no facts, bro.
Anti-Moore demonstrators were joined in the rain by anti-war protesters. Inside, Michael Moore apparently felt threatened enough to have one protester yanked from the hall during his speech.
You have in your hands, sir.
Some protesters outside actually got in a heated debate with President Bush supporters.
A West Valley man is behind bars.
Without too much trouble, but whether you agree or disagree with Michael Moore, he did leave the students at UVSC with something to think about.
Utah is still in the United States of America! America!
Controversial? Yes. Michael Moore can definitely stir some passions and can raise the level of tension.
I want this guy removed. What do you have in your hands there?
Michael Moore came to UVSC to thumb his nose at what he calls a dying Republican regime, matching boos with grunts and postures against President Bush. The day started with protesters.
Michael Moore is the enemy because he's spreading lies and mistruths. He's not giving the entire story.
He hasn't seen the film. He hasn't read the book. Ignorance is bliss.
Before Moore took to the stage, he took on those who tried to stop student leaders from bringing him to Orem, calling them
Close-minded, backward-thinking people in this area.
On stage, Moore took shots at those who filed a lawsuit to keep him from speaking.
And you don't use our courts to prevent someone from speaking to people who want to hear him speak. Who the hell are you?
When it was all over, reaction was mixed.
I'm kind of upset that we spent $40,000 to hear nothing.
So the students at UVSC have had their chance to hear conservative Sean Hannity and liberal Michael Moore all in the same month. And if nothing else, political apathy this election year has disappeared on that Utah College campus. Congressman Chris...
But was his speech at UVSC worth all of the public outcry? Sam Penrod, you were there.
Well, Carol, it depends on who you talk to. For fans of Michael Moore, it's exactly what they wanted. Politics and some comedy mixed together. But for those who were angry before his speech, after it, they left furious.
Only 2 more weeks of George W. Bush.
If his job was to rile up the crowd and bash the Republicans, the war in Iraq, and President Bush, then Michael Moore earned his paycheck.
I had the time of my life. I haven't laughed so hard in a long time. It was fabulous.
Yeah, I like the fact that we could have someone who has an opposing view actually come and speak to us. I supported that, but I greatly disagree with everything he had to say.
But it was Moore's $50,000 speaking fee that was the catalyst for weeks of public outcry, campus protests, and even a lawsuit.
And you don't use our courts to prevent someone from speaking to people who want to hear him speak. Who the hell are you?
Moore's tough talk attracted more cheers than boos. A few anti-Moore protesters were quickly ushered out. Comedian Roseanne Barr was a surprise guest and tried to add some political humor. And Michael Moore stood up for the student body officers who've taken heat and even been threatened for bringing him to UVSC.
I've never seen students with the kind of guts that the students have here. They wouldn't back down. They wouldn't back down. Others would back down. The students at Utah Valley State wouldn't back down.
Of course, UVSC has faced threats of losing money from donors and even state lawmakers because of bringing Michael Moore to campus. So will there really be any repercussions?
The Red Sox are going to the World Series, and we'll come back with more.
Only time will tell.